Okay, what are we doing?
Right, here we've got a set of chard seedlings, but they're also standing in for the perpetual spinach you'll be getting.
Oh, right.
The difference in chard and perpetual spinach is one of flavour. Botanically, they're the same plant, but perpetual spinach leaves taste like spinach. Chard leaves don't. They're much stronger tasting.
Okay.
So the reason we're doing perpetual spinach and not regular spinach is perpetual spinach is extremely easy to grow, and like chard, will crop from about a month from planting right through until this time next year.
Brilliant.
It will slow down a bit over the winter, and it will perk up again in early spring.
Okay.
In terms of what these plants like to grow, lots of light. There was a leafy green. They can cope with partial shade, though they'll crop less heavily.
Okay.
That's first thing. Secondly, they like really fertile soil if you want loads of leafy greens. What leafy greens like is nitrogen. So stuff like chicken manure pellets, thin layer of grass clippings, compost mulch, all of those things. If it's running out of puff, just do something like that, and then it will just bounce back really fast within a week or so. It's also a really, really good container plant. So you can grow these really, really successfully in quite shallow containers. And very, very high yielding. Once these are up and running, you'll be harvesting these maybe once a week or every 10 days.
Oh, brilliant.
It will slow down in the autumn, but in the height of summer, you'll be getting lots and lots of greens.
What, you pick the outer leaves?
Yep, and the way you pick them is you pick the harder leaves and let the small central leaves grow back. If you over-harvest, you slow them down. The best way to work that one out is just do it a bit and you'll get a feel for it.
Yeah.
These are very forgiving plants. Make a mistake, it's really not an issue. It'll just set you back a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Right, the next thing about chard and perpetual spinach is a planting distance. Mature plants are large. They'll be a foot and a half tall. So you need to plant a foot apart. However, if you look at this, there's billions of them.
Yeah.
This is enough to do 2 square metres of chard or 2 square metres of perpetual spinach. If you plant them at their final spacings, if you plant each plug a foot apart.
Okay.
If you don't have that much space or don't want to give that much space over to these plants, you can plant the plants maybe 6 inches apart, and then after a month or 3 weeks, thin out the clumps of seedlings in between and eat those, leaving the plants at their final spacing. That will give you your first crop.
Right.
The second thing you may notice is, if you look at these plants, is there are actually lots of seedlings in one plug. They won't grow well indefinitely if you just leave them as a clump of seedlings. You will need to thin these.
Okay.
I would do maybe after a month or 5 weeks, go in with a knife, take out all but the strongest seedlings and eat those. That could be your first or your second crop of chard.
So the knife is right by the ground?
Right at ground level. You're just basically trying to cut most of the plants up just to leave one plant.
Okay.
These plants don't really like root disturbance, so don't be tempted to divide them up. Give it a go, but I'm not guaranteeing them.
So cut them out rather than...
Cut them out.
Yeah.
And that way you don't disturb the roots and so on.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, yeah.
That's spinach.
And chard.
Chard.